everyone. Welcome. So excited to have you here in our session today, AI Innovation in the Power Platform. I have the pleasure of kicking us off, but you'll also be hearing from my peers, Ashvini Sharma from Power Automate, Norah Liu from Power Apps, and Gary Pretty from Power Virtual Agents. So many of you might have attended Charles Lamanna's session earlier today, The Future of App Development. Let me give you a quick recap of what you heard there, in case Power Platform is new to many of you. Power Platform really transforms the way developers work by increasing their speed and agility to deliver solutions in really complex environments. Now, developers can use Power Platform to create custom applications and automate processes, analyze data, create chatbots across their organization. But that's not the limiting factor. It also supports deep sophistication so that you can also write code and connect to microservices if that's something you want to do. Throughout this conference, let's face it, from keynote to today, you've heard that generative AI is the biggest platform shift and change since the personal computer and the internet. We think AI is the best thing that happened to low-code development. Generative AI has made it so natural language can be used to create applications or automations. Just describe it, and you can just see what AI will do to help you create that. Copilot is the way we express generative AI across our product experiences. And Copilot acts as a real-time collaborator and unleashes creativity and unlocks productivity and uplevels everyone's skill. Today, we're bringing OpenAI to every part of Power Platform, from Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Automate Desktop, Power Virtual Agents, Power Pages, and Dataverse. So today, we're going to show you Copilot experiences that you probably saw a sneak peek of the demo at Charles's talk, and we're going to show you a more in-depth look across some of them. There are 4 key demos across Power Pages, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, and Power Apps. Let's start with an example customer we have, Woodgrove Bank. They're a small regional bank, and they have moderate IT resources available to them. They have a diverse set of development projects that come their way, and there are different requirements across very different orgs. We will take a look at how different scenarios that different developers could leverage that might help them to come together and build solutions around a new student loan program that the bank is launching. I'm going to go over to my demo. So here I am inside of the Power Pages Design Studio. For many of you who are not familiar with Power Pages, it's the 5th new product that was made generally available as part of the Power Platform last October. Inside of our low-code design studio, I have a Copilot icon up here to the right, where I can open up the Copilot pane. Now, I'm going to get right into it and show you. If I want to start creating a page for the student loan application that Woodgrove Bank is offering, all I have to do is issue that command to the Copilot pane. Now, normally, because there are so many diverse constituents in a financial institution, you might have analysts and product managers and designers. It would take many days and weeks and months for all of these requirements to come together. And as a developer, you might end up with a really thick stack of requirements that probably are fairly complex. And by the time you get to it and start writing code, it could be a very complex endeavor, much more than what you might have wanted to do. Now, imagine the team can come together and use Copilot to just simply describe even a starting point. And what if you could very quickly get a page layout made for you for a student loan application? And along with that, it's the right sections that might matter for a student loan product. And we've also included some stock imagery and some placeholder text that you can easily revise. Now, let's say up at the top, I'm not really feeling like I can see a great overview of what the student loan product offering could be. I can simply come in here and click on Add Text. And when I come in here to add text, I have another in-context Copilot experience available to me. And very quickly, I can ask Copilot to create an overview of student loans offered by Woodgrove Bank. Now let's see what Copilot offers as suggestions for me. Again, I didn't have to wait for a team of copy editors and others to come back with some placeholder text, and this is way better than lorem ipsum. Now, this seems a little bit not the right length. Let's see if I can get it to be a little bit shorter, but still deliver the same point. OK, this seems to meet my needs. I can just click Add to Page, and it does. So as I scan across the Woodgrove Bank loan application program, I notice it doesn't have a loan application. Now, very quickly, I can come in here inside of the WYSIWYG designer and choose Add Form. Again, we give you an in-context loan form designer that you can use to create your student loan application form. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about how a loan product might come together. An analyst will have a ton of requirements of what data they need to collect from customers. Someone would have to figure out what the right questions are. And then by the time an engineer receives all of that, they'd have to figure out, OK, how do I create the table around this? What are the columns? What are the metadata types? And then go build a form against it. Copilot really strips down all of that mundane tasks in the background and comes back with a suggestion for you. It says, well, here are potential suggestions for what a loan application form would have. I look at scan, I'm like, OK, that seems good. Loan purpose to buy a car seems a little dubious for student loan applications, so let's go ahead and remove that. I don't think I care about that too much. But Copilot allows me to seamlessly modify the fields that are both suggested by the form, or it also suggests other fields that might be relevant for a loan application. So Copilot takes a little bit of time to think about, OK, how would I read this form really quickly? I can wait for it to respond. And then the next steps would be, once I'm satisfied by reviewing the updated and revised form, I can go ahead and add it to page. All right, I feel like this is updated. Let's go ahead and add it to page. Now what's happening in the back end, if many of you are familiar with Power Platform, we go ahead and create the Dataverse table, mapping to all of those column types you see inside of the field. We also create a Dataverse form, and then bind it so that you can add it to your Power Pages page. Let me show you. I had a table created a little bit earlier. This takes a couple of minutes. So let's have a look. Inside of my design studio, we have the data workspace. Here's how Copilot created a student loan application, and here are all the columns that came with that form. I can also click over to see the Dataverse form that's been created inside of the data workspace. So here we have it. The Dataverse form for the Copilot loan application is here. And normally, I would have to manually create all of this. And with Copilot, it just came down to a couple of minutes of wait for generative AI to give me that form. Let's pop back to our studio and take a look. Look, it added it to page. And here is all of the fields that I looked at. OK, this sounds good enough. Feel like the stub of it. But you know, the design team is not quite happy with this. So let's see if we can use a Copilot to help us design a better looking form. Now, traditionally, if I were working with Power Pages, I'd have to go inspect inside of the browser what are all the classes that style this form. It's fairly time-consuming, intensive. But what if I just ask Copilot to style my form to be more modern? Now, within a few seconds, what we will do is determine what are the right CSS classes that are needed to style the CRM form. And generative AI helps us pick some basic CSS that's already been generated and styled here. Let me show you really quickly. Let's crack this open inside of VS Code and take a look at what happened for us in the background. While that's loading, this will take a couple of seconds. So as you can see, this is my web page. And if I come in, all of the CSS, not only have the classes been created, now the form has been styled with appropriate CSS. Now, I want to show you one cool additional capability that can be enabled very seamlessly from within the Design Studio. I'm going to click over here. Inside of our Design Studio, inside of our Setup workspace, you can, with one click, configure a chatbot. That's right. This chatbot would take advantage of the Power Virtual Agent's Boost Conversations feature that you heard about earlier. And it will automatically both create a bot and publish it. And this bot will start answering questions against your site's publicly visible content. Here's an example of that bot live on the Woodgrove Bank site. Gary is going to actually show you a deeper demo of this a little bit later, because it takes a little bit of time for the content to be indexed by Bing, so it's served up within the chatbot. Now, we've completed building out the front end of it. I really need to understand how can I have my form submission trigger an email back to the recipient and trigger some back office processes. For that, I'm going to hand it back over to Ashvini, who's going to come up here and show you more of the Copilot experiences in Power Automate.
Hello, hello. Thank you for being here. Let's switch to our one slide. Yeah, great. So you've heard about Copilots, Copilot, plugin, plugin, plugin. Really, if you are a Power Platform developer, if you've been using Power Platform, your entry into the Copilot ecosystem, just build a connector. All the magic lights up. PVA lights up, Power Apps lights up, Power Automate lights up, all the magic lights up, and Copilot gets enlightened with your plugins as well. So if you haven't yet built a connector, build it. You can, in fact, ask ChatGPT to build the YAML for you as well, which is pretty exciting. So in the scenario, let's switch to the demo now. This is the new homepage. For those of you in the preview environment, as of last night, you're finally able to see this new experience, and the team is super excited to have you try this out and give us any feedback. So in here, this is, for those that haven't seen it yet, this is describe it to design it. And all I need to do as a user is describe my intent. So I go through and I say, you know what? I want to have whenever a new row is added to Dataverse, send me a Teams notification from the Flow bot. Yeah, it understands what Dataverse is, it understands what the Teams notification is, it understands what a Flow bot is. And I can go ahead and I can iterate this, right? It's taken my intent, it's used a GPT understanding behind the scenes to convert that into automation. And it's saying these are the steps. And oh, in order to send me a message, it has to get my profile to know who to send the message to. And I can iterate this, I can change this, it's come as you are. Sometimes I don't know the intent of exactly what I want, and I can go refine this as well. The next step is to specify the connections. In this case, I'll just take the default. And now the tens of thousands of you that are actually using the describe it to design it, this is the unveiling of the new designer. Whoa, there's some sound that will happen at this point. This is the new designer that a lot of people have seen it in images, and we're so proud of releasing this now to you so that you can try it as well. What you see on the left side is a new design time experience, which is a modern look that we haven't really updated the Cloudflow designer since it was initially released a few years back. And I can go ahead and change a few things. So I can come in here and say, you know, the table that the app is writing to is called student loan applications. So let me set that. And just any designer, but on the right-hand side is now with Copilot as well. So I can go ahead here and say, you know what, route the team's message to my manager if the loan amount is more than $25,000. And I've just expressed the intent of what I want to do. I could have done this with the designer as well, but Copilot gets ahead. It says, OK, I need to get the manager. I'll post a message in the Teams chat as well. And I can just say, now go ahead and say, I can add any new action as well. So if I scroll down here, this is where the 1,000 connector are available for you to be able to go add it directly. And what you see is the scalable design time experience. Previously, the Flow designer would have been expanded and collapsed. It's a little jittery, but with this new scale, really all that is much more scalable. I can also ask, in addition to making changes, I can ask, what does this flow do? Which is super useful for if your developers, if others are developing your flow, and you come walk up to it and say, OK, now please describe this to me, because I don't know what this flow does. It could be quite complex. And again, this is the understanding of the flow that's happening using the large language model that we're able to feed and then really summarize what's happening. The last step here is for me to add an email action with the body telling the student, no, we've received their loan applications and we're working on it. Make it lighthearted and include emojis. This is where LLMs shine, because as a developer, maybe I put a hello world in and that was it. But in this case, it goes through, hi there, we've just wanted to let you know you've received your loan application. And I can modify this, right? I can just say, my marketing team will give me a good message. But in the meantime, I can go ahead and just say, whoever sent it to me, I want to go send this response back to them. And it's already configured the subject. It's already configured the parameter for who is it going to send to. All the body is ready to go. So this is great. Just in a few minutes, I've been able to create this automation just by expressing my intent and having Copilot build the automation for me. Now, one of the other things I want to do is I'll route this message to a loan officer. And what I want to do there is also have some competitive information. So I've got another bank that we usually compete with. It's called Contoso Bank. And those guys have undergraduate loan rates as well. And at the bottom of this is, as with any loan site, there's a gobbledygook. There's a legal things that are reams and reams of footnotes. And what I want to do is send the relevant information extracted from this over as part of my notification so that my loan officer knows what the competitive situation is. And this changes once in a while. I don't want to keep it hard-coded. So to do that, what I've got is a Power Automate for desktop. For those not familiar, this is built into Windows 11. It helps you through hundreds of actions to automate your applications through websites, automate directly on your machine itself. And some of them, in this case, what I'm doing is launching the browser. It's going to go extract the text from the web page, call GPT to say, look, actually, let's look at the prompt there. So I worked on a few minutes to work on this prompt, and it says, extract the fixed rate and variable rates. This will be sent to a loan officer. Add only the summary of the footnotes that are relevant to this data, right? So there's extract the content that's relevant to a loan officer, because that's the intended audience. And I can bake all that into the intent again here as part of my description, where I don't have, just imagine parsing, right? What library would you use to parse, okay, I need to extract the right content from a loan officer perspective. I just don't even know. So in this case, I've done that here. And to put it all together, let me switch over. Just in the interest of time, I've built it already. This is the flow that extracts web information. I've also put it inside a scope, which is essentially my try block. And irrespective of whether the notifications happen or not, I'm now sending it. This is my finally, which is send an email back to the person that sent the actual invitation, the loan submission. So this is my Sam Cantrell, who's submitted this application. Let me save that. This is just entering in another row as far as in Dataverse. And now, as soon as that's submitted, our automation is kicked off. It's going to go launch the website itself. It's going to extract all the content out. And it will soon create this output in my Teams notification. And I've already run it right before this just to make sure it was working. And you can see in the summary, there's just 3 sentences. Out of that, reams and reams, the paragraphs of content, the GPT model was able to extract what makes sense to a loan officer. I'm just going to summarize it and just extract that relevant content and put it up here. Yeah, so there we go. So that was a great look at the Power Automate capabilities. This is available to you today. So please try it out on the preview environments. Let me switch back to the slide to show you exactly what we covered. So this really is the stack that we're talking about. Really, I entered in through the bottom, which is through all the connectors, and Copilot lit up on the top for Power Automate. If you have your own service, please add your own connector. We are enlightening the Copilots to work with third-party connectors and with custom connectors as well. So just engage and write a custom connector so all the magic lights up. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Gary to take us through PVA. Thank you.
Good job. OK, hi, everyone. Good to see you. Let's take a look at how PVA is leveraging AI, GPT today. So we saw earlier when Priya ran us through Power Pages that you could create a bot with just one click, turn it on, and publish it. So now I'm actually inside of Power Virtual Agents, which is where this bot lives. I haven't had to do anything to this bot, and instantly it's already useful. You can see here that it's been added on our AI capabilities webpage, and it's pointing to that Power Pages site. And already, this bot can now answer questions using the content from that site. Let's take a look. So I could say something like, do you offer home loans? It's going to search over the content on the website and then use GPT to summarize an answer for me. And it will even include a useful attribution link, so I know where I can find some useful information. Let's give that page a quick refresh. We'll try that one more time. OK, there we go. So it will answer the question for me based on the content of the website. And that's incredibly useful because previously we would have had to spend many hours, maybe even days or weeks, producing knowledge bases, actually curating the questions and answers. And as much as we can try and anticipate all of the different questions that our users are going to ask and how they might ask them, it's not always easy to sort of get 100% coverage. Well, now, as long as your website stays up to date and your knowledge source stays up to date, we can answer those questions. Even better, I can even ask follow-up questions as well. So I could say, what kind of documentation do I need? And I don't need to be specific about what kind of documentation do I need to apply for a home loan, because it's going to use the previous context of the conversation to immediately enable me to have multi-turn conversations. That, again, is pretty incredible. Previously, if I'd wanted to enable that, we've had services where I can manually author, hey, here are some like 3 or 4 suggestions of how people might follow up this question. And I'd have to do a lot of work to anticipate that. And now my bot is incredibly useful. I can publish it in just a few minutes, and it's adding real value to my end users. Heading back over to the AI capabilities page, we can see that we've also expanded the preview here as well. As well as pointing to the Power Pages site, I can easily add more sites here as well. Maybe I want to point to a supplier that I work with, maybe their support pages. I can add a few different sites here, and we'll search across all of them and even combine multiple responses into a single answer for you, rather than your users needing to go from page to page to try and collect all of the information that they need. We've also got the ability for you to set the content moderation level as well. Now let's flip over to another bot, and let me show you something really, really interesting, how we are truly revolutionizing bot building. This is a bot where I've added no custom content. There are no custom topics here at all. I've not had to manually author anything. And now all I need to do is add 1 or more plugins to my bot. We've obviously heard a lot about plugins at the conference so far. And here I've just added 2 custom APIs. And now my bot is able to search across these APIs and chain them together almost like Lego blocks to answer a user's question. Let's open our new testing tracing experience and see how this works. So here I could say something like, show me the available mortgage deals for a mortgage of $380,000. I submit that, and we're going to use GPT to search across the available plugins, understand the request, and suggest a dynamic plan. Here you can see that the dynamic plan was immediately presented for me, and it's using multiple plugins that I've got within my bot. It's correctly identified that the Get Available Mortgages API can help to respond to my request. But not only that, it's noticed that one of the input parameters for Get Available Mortgages is a loan-to-value rate. And it's correctly and intelligently identified that one of my other plugins can actually provide that. Then it's extracted the $380,000 from my request and done entity extraction and populated that into the first API. Finally, one of the missing parameters it can't get from anywhere else, and so it's using GPT to generate the multi-turn conversation to populate that with my answer. So I can go ahead and say, you know what, actually my property value is $400K and my loan amount is $300. And just like that, I didn't even just answer that question. I actually was able to update some information from previously in the conversation. It then has all the info it needs, completes the connector actions, executes them, and provides me the answer. And don't forget, I had to manually author nothing. This is available today in a private, limited preview. All of the details are on our blog, and we'll have the details at the end. Now let's hand over to Norah to talk about what's new in Power Apps.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Gary. Can folks hear me? OK. Now let's dive into Power Apps. I'm Norah, PM from Power Apps team. So next, I'm going to show you how we use Copilot to help Woodgrove Bank to quickly build an intelligent solution to help manage their customer satisfaction. So the Woodgrove Bank is very keen in improving their customer satisfaction. Over the years, they have been collecting their customer support tickets from different departments in a Excel file. Look familiar, right? Don't we all have some messy Excel data in our to-be-cleaned folder, right? This one doesn't even have a header. So you can see this is not OK for a business. It's not able to scale. Excel is not a database, and it's not easy for them to see data insights. So they need an app to automate this process. This app should run on phones, tablets, and desktop computers. Building that app could be expensive, but not if you're using Power Apps. Now let me show you. I'm here, like the first step is just to upload the Excel. So I'm on the homepage of Power Apps. I'll click Start with Data, upload an Excel file, and I have this data already curated. So while this is loading, let me tell you before this, what do you have to do to upload an Excel? So you will have to go to Dataverse first, create your schema. So you will have to give it some meaningful names. You configure column by column. You have to create your choice value as well if you have any. But now, with this, AI is doing the heavy lifting. You can see it is generating a table name and description for you. And also, it does recognize some repeated value in your column. So it can recognize and create choice value for you. So I'm good with this. Now let's go ahead, create this app. I'll jump to the app I already created using the same process to save some waiting time. Now you see the app. It is pretty, and it already has a gallery of the data, and it also has a form connected to it. But we know in real life, business logic can be more complex than just a single screen. So I'm going to demonstrate how we use Copilot to help add an escalation flow here. So the escalation works in the way like if the agent sees some ticket they want to escalate, they will want to click on a button, and it will lead them to a email page where they can send an email to their supervisors to handle this. So first of all, I'm going to tell Copilot to add a new screen using the email template. So what Copilot is doing is it is able to understand what the natural language is talking about, and it is able to recognize what are the actions it's going to take, including adding a new screen and being able to use that email template. So I think something probably went wrong. Can I go to the backup slide? Yep. So what is supposed to happen here is, so this new screen is added, and next we're going to add that escalation button. So what I type in here is add a button called escalate in the selected container. So Copilot does that, and it did understand what I'm saying, and it's adding a button here in the container I selected. And next, what is remaining for us is to connect the button and the screen together. So I'm going to say, when clicking on escalate, show screen 1. That's the screen we just created using Copilot. And boom, it gives me this little formula on top, where if I'm a new maker, I probably don't even know this is where I need to write the navigation formula. So all good. I'm going to test this. So earlier, when I mentioned the app, I didn't mention that it is also by default responsive. So you can try it here, play the app, and you can run it on tablets, running on phone, and you can switch orientation, and then back to window size. And if we're going to test that button, click on it, it will point you to the new email screen. So now I have demonstrated how we help makers to build that app. But how about end users, right? End users, they may want to ask questions about the data while they may not know how to filter through the data. No worry, we have this app Copilot. So in this app, I have pre-added this app Copilot control, where you can see it's over here where it has a big box, and it has some preloaded questions for you as well, in case you don't know how to start. But here, the question I'm interested in is, which category gets the most high priority tickets? So I could just go dig into some category that needs help. So it answers back that the category with the most high priority tickets is investment. So I know there probably is some help needed in the investment department, which I'll just follow up with some actions to help them reduce the number of high priority tickets. And you may wonder, with such a Copilot, if it sits in Canvas, does it sit in a model-driven app as well? The answer is yes. So if you were to use the same data to create a model-driven app, actually here I have added more data in here. So the Copilot, you can see on the right panel, it not only can answer the same kind of data analytics questions for you, but also it can, in addition, it can do something like take me to retail bank accounts. So it can do navigation for you as well. In case you're lost in data, you have a lot of pages to navigate through, don't worry, you just ask Copilot and it will take you there. So how amazing. Now, I have demonstrated the full app building, and I'm happy with the app. I just go ahead and added the app and the tables and all the dependencies into a solution, and I am ready to deploy. So here, you can see I have already deployed it into my test environment. And the next step is I'm going to deploy to my production environment. So I'll go ahead and use this pre-configured pipeline and say deploy to my production environment. I do see two options here, deploy now or later. I want to pick later because I don't want to disturb my customers during normal business hours, so I pick a time later. And this will do validation for me, checking all the dependencies and checking if everything is going right. But here, I want to point you to this AI suggested solution overview, where you can see the Copilot is reading the solution metadata and try to generate some descriptions for what's in your solution. So here it is able to recognize, hey, I have a Canvas app. It's doing customer support. It's called customer support tickets, and it's going to manage the support tickets and its life cycle. And it also recognizes I have an entity. All I need to do is to click the apply. Of course, I need to review the content to make sure it's correct. But next, after I'm happy with the content, all I need to do is just to apply the text to my deployment notes and hit deploy button. So my admin will now receive a request, seeing this deployment request. And no worry, because he or she would already have enough context with this deployment notes. OK, all happy. In addition to that, let me jump back to my other slides in the, yeah. In addition to that, we also have two other features which are not included in the live demo, but are shipping soon. One is app description. Similar to solution description, you will be able to use Copilot, help you generate an app description for your app, because we know a good app description will make your app more discoverable for your end users. And on the right side, that is actually available now, because it's a chatbot control. Remember that amazing bot that Gary just built using Copilot? You can embed that into Power Apps. And the good part about it is it's customizable. You can brand it. You can hook it up to your company doc, so it will start to answer questions relevant to Woodgrove Bank. OK, with that, I think we have demonstrated a lot of Copilot features just now through all different products, Power Pages, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agent, and Power Apps. There are a lot. We definitely don't have enough time to cover a lot more in this session, but please try them out after this session. You can also see this AKA links to get more details. Now, I would like to invite all of our speakers to come back to the stage, and we'll be opening up to questions.
Okay, here we go. A little hot. If you have questions, the way to get them asked, just make sure you put them in, and we'll go through a few here. Okay, we'll start with the first one. Can I add more than one website in PVA Booster?
Yes, that's a great question, and thank you for pointing out the thing I forgot to say in the session earlier. Yes, you can. So you can add more than one public-facing website, and now as of build, we also support authenticated users to be able to add one or more internal-facing sites as well. So SharePoint, OneDrive, etc., so that you can make that data available to your users, maybe for an internal scenario, for example. I should also point out that we will soon let you upload documents to PVA, and we'll store them correctly for you, and then we'll be able to actually crack them open and search and summarize within those documents as well.
All right, the next question that we're going to go with is, and this is for the whole panel, when will these enhancements to the Power Platform be added to instructor-led classes at Microsoft Learn with labs provided by hosted lab environments?
Should I take it?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of intensity of new functionality coming out, and it'll make its way into the learning content slowly over time. In the meantime, almost everything that's getting released in preview also has tutorials and other content associated with it as well. So you don't have to wait for the learn content to be able to play around with it. As we light up, we're also making available content to go along, so you can just dive right in while the learning content itself gets updated.
All right. Next question is going to be, can we use Copilot with SharePoint list and libraries?
I can take that. So right now, the answer is no. Copilot works with, we only support Dataverse with Copilot, but it's just the beginning of all the Copilot features. We will evaluate based on customer needs.
Yeah, maybe I'll build on that. So given every Copilot has slightly different understanding right now, there's not one unified Copilot to rule them all. Yeah. We have different experiences in different places. I know the SharePoint team is also working on a Copilot experience. Maybe that was announced, maybe that isn't announced. If it's not announced, scratch that, I didn't say anything. But there will be more Copilot experiences coming as well. And of course, with Power Automate as well, it will be able to understand SharePoint also now. So you can go ahead and different experiences will get enlightened with different services over time.
Yeah, and I think I would just add to that by saying you saw the generative actions feature that I was demoing earlier, and really the same thing applies, right? If a connector exists, then you're going to be able to add that to your bot, and certainly through a conversational experience, then actually have tasks completed. And it's less about sort of consuming the information and more about actually, making stuff happen. So that's going to be pretty exciting to see.
Yes, and also, I guess the question also seemed to have a context and follow-ups around the generative answers piece being able to point to SharePoint libraries. Can you handle that one, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, generative answers can point to SharePoint sites today, and we will over time expand the file types that we support and the types of knowledge bases that we can sort of crack open and search and summarize across. Obviously, as we've said, there's a lot of intensity at the moment. We're moving as fast as we can, but I think it's fair to say you'll see a lot more from us over the sort of coming weeks and months. One thing I should call out is that another thing that we've done at Build is we've turned the generative answers from simply a setting on the AI capabilities page that I showed you earlier, and we've turned it into an actual node on the canvas, which actually means you can now have full control over where it gets called, which knowledge bases are getting called, even actually filter it down per channel or maybe even per user. So, I think that just shows the sort of level of momentum that we've got behind these features.
Next question is, how do I get my tenant to be a preview environment so I can see these preview features, especially Power Automate?
Yeah, so for those not familiar, when you create a new environment, you can tell it what region to create it in. And there is a region called Preview. If you're here at the conference and you'd like to see it, please follow us after the session. We can show you. But essentially, when you create a new environment, you can select Preview. And all you then need to do once you have the Preview environment is actually go to Power Automate. The homepage, in this case, would have the Copilot banner on it right away.
Yeah.
So I'd like to clarify, for Power Pages, the generative form and generative text features are just available right now. If you're in the US region, you can go to make.powerpages.microsoft.com. If you don't have an environment, we'll give you a developer environment. You have access to those Copilot features today. We call it Preview because it's only available in the US region right now. And we will continue to work towards making it generally available both in US and other regions over time.
All right, next question. When will Copilot function be available in Japanese?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
I can comment on this. I think we're working with our AI team to actively develop into how to support other languages, because right now it's only in English. But regarding to the timeline, I just know we're working on it. Just there's no ETA yet, but we hope it will come soon.
Yeah, and I think some people have, at least on Twitter, when I see there are a lot of tweets in Japanese that are experimenting with our Copilot. So there are some cases where, because it's trained on just the world's languages, there's some cases where it does work, but officially supporting it in the different regions, that's something we're working on.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Does Power Apps Copilot work on Canvas apps or model-driven apps, or both?
Yeah, I can take that. So yes, Power Apps Copilot works on both Canvas app and model-driven app. As I just showed you, the kind of the action part, like converting Excel to a table and convert that to an app, and using Copilot to help keep editing your app one is currently only in Canvas. But the app Copilot, like the data insights, we provided the app Copilot control you see. The app Copilot in the model-driven sidebar is actually available on both places. So you can use that to answer data questions. And in the model-driven app, actually, you can do more things like navigation. So,
next question is, how can I get Power Platform Copilot Preview on the Azure Australian servers? It states you must be on the US instance to request preview.
Yeah, so there is no Power Platform Copilot. There's a Power App Copilot. There's a Power Automate Copilot. There's a PBA Copilot experience. There are generative experiences. And really, it is just a fabric of how we think of software experiences and how we build it. So there will be different capabilities that are available in different areas. Some of those capabilities depend on GPT-4 models that are only available in the US. Some of them depend on 3, some of them depend on 3.5. So there's a little bit of a diversity of the experiences. And we'll light them up as quickly as we can across the world.
And to build on what Ashvini was talking about today, we are available wherever Azure OpenAI is available, which is in the US region and Western Europe. So that's where you'll start to see most of these features become available and head towards general availability. So folks in Australia, stay tuned. We hope Azure OpenAI gets there quickly.
And our last question that we have time for today will be, will I get the same results if I ask the same question that I would ask to generative answers if I ask it to ChatGPT mentioning search in the company's website only?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think the answer is probably it will vary. You're very unlikely to get exactly the same answer. We've taken significant steps to make sure that we are filtering the information, to make sure that we're not providing anything that may be offensive, for example. But also we are leaning on other Microsoft services that are also doing sort of search for us and providing relevance information. So for example, the public websites, when you point to them, we're actually doing a search using Bing, and then we pull back those results and then we summarize them using GPT. The same when you're searching through SharePoint. We're using SharePoint search, which is already security trimmed. And so I don't think it's likely that you'll get exactly the same result, but we think that the approach that we've come up with best fits our customers' needs today. And I think
That's it.
that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.